everybody, it's Amber, and I thought today I would do a video on how to make cashew cheese sauce. The reason I decided to do a video is because it's super easy to make this recipe, and I thought it'd be something a little different for the blog. So you'll have to forgive me, I am not a video connoisseur, but I want to show you how easy this is to do. Now, this recipe, you can use this cheese sauce on anything. Use it to make macaroni and cheese. Use it as a dip. You could use it anywhere that you would use cheese or melted cheese. It's good on eggs, things like that. It is raw, which means it has all the natural enzymes and things in it. So if you are raw, you're probably not eating eggs. You're probably not eating pasta, but it's great on spiraled zucchini. It's great as just a dip. So further ado, let's make some cheese sauce. Okay, so you're probably wondering what you need to make this awesome recipe. I should point out that it's not something that I came up with on my own. I use a lot of raw food forums and blogs to come up with recipes for hints and tips, and I truly recommend that you do that as well if that's something that you're interested in. But again, if you're not raw, and my husband's not raw, and he loves this type of thing, it's great for anybody, and it's a great way to sneak in some veggies for kids that maybe think that they don't like that type of stuff. Like with anything on my blog, as you probably know, I always encourage you to substitute with things that you do like. I also want you to have fun with it, and I think this is a recipe you really can create and make your own. It's pretty easy. There's only a couple of ingredients that you really need. So let's get to that. The first thing you'll need is 1 cup of raw cashews. With raw cashews, you'll need to make sure that you soak them for about 2 hours. You don't want to go much past 2 hours just because they tend to get pretty soggy. They're pretty good at absorbing water. Then you'll want 1 orange bell pepper. You could also use red. Feel free to substitute either way. When you use a red bell pepper, this sauce comes out a little bit pinker. Orange, it comes out a little bit more orange. But do not use green. Green is not sweet enough, and it would make this look very weird. Unless you're maybe making it for Halloween or something, you could try that. You'll need some water, and then you also need some spices. Now with mine, I tend to use very simple spices. I use garlic powder, I use salt, cayenne, and nutritional yeast. Now, nutritional yeast is not a raw product. You can find it at your local health food store. It's generally in the refrigerated section. I know some companies make it as well. But what it does add to it is vitamin B12. It also adds kind of a cheesy note to it to make it extra cheesy. Okay, so let's get to making this cheese sauce. So you can see I kind of have everything here. And what I did is I started off by just kind of chopping up the bell pepper into pretty large chunks. And you could do smaller chunks. For my blender, the one that I'm using, I think it's best just to kind of cut it into smaller pieces, a little smaller pieces. Here's my cashews have been soaking for a couple of hours. When they're kind of right, you can tell because they're not crunchy anymore. They kind of have a little bit of give to it, and that's what's going to help in your blender make it a smooth sauce instead of more like a nut butter for that. Then I also have my nutritional yeast. It's yellow in color. I get mine at my local health food store. And what I do is I keep it in the fridge, and I store a lot of stuff in mason jars because I can rinse them and reuse them, and I like being able to do that. But you'd want to keep that in the fridge. Then I have my garlic powder here, cayenne, and then just some salt. Like with any recipe, I do all of my spices to taste, and because everyone's so different in what they actually like, I want you to do yours to taste as well. So if you like it extra spicy, do a little bit more cayenne. If you like it more garlicky, go with the garlic powder, salty. You can choose, what you'd like. If you want different spices, feel free. I think you could really make this however you want. One benefit to the cayenne, even if you do just a little bit, is not only it adds just a little bit of heat, but it also kind of assists in that cheesy color. And if you're wanting to fake people out in that this is cheese, you kind of want to do that. The other thing that you're going to need is some water. Now, one trick I learned is to put the bell pepper in first because of the water content in here. You can add less water then when you're blending everything together. And you also want to do this first. So you're going to blend these first, then you're going to throw in these and blend it, and then adjust to what you like. If you want it thinner, add a little bit more water. If you want it thicker, add less. And it also depends on your blender as well. Usually once things are pretty blended, that's when I add in the rest of my spices. I just find it's easier that way. But you could literally throw everything in the blender and go to town. But you do need a blender. And the one I'm using today is the Ninja blender, and I have the smaller container here, but you can use a bigger one. I'm also doing a double recipe, so for everyone else who's doing maybe a single recipe, you'd have about, you know, this much bell pepper and half the amount of cashews. I'm doing 2 cups of cashews today because we go through it really, really fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw these in, and you don't have to be, you know, too careful with it. Just kind of get them in there. Cut this bell up just a little bit more here. And I'm actually going to blend this first to get them down a little bit before I add in the cashews. So that's kind of the next step here. Put this in. This is hard to do one-handed. I don't have a tripod, so you'll have to forgive me. So you turn it on, and then for mine I have 3 choices. I'm just going to start with blend. And then just kind of check it here. Pulse it. Alright, so I got kind of that chopped up a little bit. So the next step is to add in the cashews. And you can see it's added some kind of moist to it. I'm just dump these in. And they've hung on to some of their water too, but I am just going to add just a bit to make sure that it just keeps going, but I'm going to add in just a little. Pop the top back on. Alright, so I'm going to start by pulsing it. And then I'm just going to let it go. So I'll be right back once it's kind of all blended, and we'll talk about how to add in the rest of the stuff. So I'm all done blending, and I added in my spices, and here is what the final product looks like. Looks pretty much the same if you ask me, but it does taste delicious. One thing that I did want to let you know is I used 2 cups of cashews, and then for this recipe for today, I ended up using about 1 cup of water. So if you're using 1 cup of cashews, I'd start with maybe about 1/2 cup of water. It's going to depend a lot on how much water your cashews soaked up, and as well as how watery your bell peppers are. So you may need less, you may need more. Again, if you want it thinner, you can definitely add more water. It's not going to hurt it in the least. So I thought I'd show you how I store it. Is I use these mason jars because they can fit right in the fridge nice. Again, like I said before, they're really easy to clean. So I'm going to take this guy out. And with the Ninja, if you don't have one, it has like crazy multiple blades. So be careful because they're really sharp. Just going to set this down here. And then I just kind of pour it in. And this will last you, a little while. I would only keep it in the refrigerator for about maybe a week to 2 weeks. So try and eat it up, by then, because there are no preservatives in this. And it's living food, so it can spoil, but it is delicious. And when you look at it, it looks like that cheese sauce that's in the can. So I encourage you to try it. Try something new that you haven't had today. Try something that's healthy, but maybe looks unhealthy. And it's one of the best ways to start eating healthy is by tricking your mind. And this is one great way. You're getting bell pepper. If you use nutritional yeast, you're getting B12. Cashews are great in protein. And so this is, not bad. Now, I wouldn't eat this whole thing in one sitting, but it's definitely great to accompany you on your healthy journey. So I just thought I'd say good luck. I hope you enjoy it, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me or comment on the blog, and I'll comment back. But I can't wait to hear how you guys like the cheese sauce. Thanks for joining. Bye.